What's going on, guys? Matthew Muniz here. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about IBonds. Basically, a safe and reliable return on your money in 2023. However, the real question is it the best place to put your money? In this video, we're going to try to find out. Now, I've done videos on this in the past, but I feel like this is an important video. We will talk about what IBonds are, how they work. We're just going to give you a brief overview. But then we're going to talk about the current return on IBonds in summer of 2023, what might happen in the future, and what options we have as investors, whether you're already invested or potentially looking to put your money in IBonds. And then at the end of the video, I am going to tell you what I'm doing currently. Just remember, I'm not a financial advisor, and this video is not financial advice. It's up to you guys to do your own research and determine what's best for you and your family. Now, if you work hard for your money and you want to make it go further, then make sure you smash the like button down below, subscribe to the channel. We do content on anything related to personal finance or fitness. Now, with that being said, let's get right into it. What are IBonds? Well, IBonds are a type of bond that are based on variable semi-annual inflation rate that changes with the consumer price index. And remember that includes inflation in terms of food and energy costs. So if inflation is increasing, the interest rates on these IBonds is going to increase as well. The whole point of the IBond is to protect your money from inflation. You can keep it in a bank, or you can guarantee that you're going to beat inflation based on holding an IBond instead. But when it comes to that return, today, in June 2023, you would be getting 4.3% locked in for the next 6 months. And then it's going to change for the following 6 months based on inflation. In the current market we're in, the Federal Reserve is doing everything they can to lower inflation. Therefore, we can expect with a certain degree of confidence that IBonds rates are going to continue to decline. However, I do want to note that with the two rates that make up the actual rate you receive, you have the fixed rate and then the variable semi-annual inflation rate. The fixed rate is locked in for the life of the IBond. That rate right now is at the highest it's been in the past 30 years at 0.9%. So maybe you're someone in retirement and you're looking for a super safe place to park your cash and all you want to do is beat inflation. Then I would say, that 0.9% becomes a little bit more important because you're essentially beating inflation by almost 1%, which nobody knows what's going to happen in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. But there could be another pandemic. Rates could crash to the ground. Banks might stop paying what they're paying today. Money market funds might not pay as much as they pay. CDs might go down. And IBonds may once again be at the top. Is that a gamble I want to make? Certainly not. And I definitely don't recommend that. But that's not a risky gamble. That's just a gamble saying you're going to beat inflation. So, should I even call it a gamble? Probably not. At the end of the day, an IBond is going to guarantee that your money is going to grow in the future, especially at 0.9%, because you're never going to be below that. So keep that in mind. But with that being said, we've got to discuss what other options do we have. I've talked about them in other videos. Right now, as the Federal Reserve continues to raise rates on an almost monthly basis, or at least they're expecting to for the rest of 2023, at least 2 more times, high yield savings accounts are paying out over 4%. CDs are over 5% with locking your money up for less than 3 months. I mean, it's hard to want to put your money in an IBond when you can just put it in a CD. Money market funds, something like SPACs or SPAXX, where I currently keep a big portion of my cash, are considered very safe and also offer returns of almost 5%. So if you're just looking for a place to keep a portion of your cash for the short term where you're going to need access to it, then maybe an IBond isn't for you. Solely for the fact that you can keep your money liquid somewhere else and get a higher return. Why would you put your money in an IBond where it's going to be locked up for a minimum of 1 year when you could just keep it in SPACs and get a higher return and pull it out whenever you want? Now, that being said, there are some benefits to having IBonds. One of them being taxes. So you don't pay local or state taxes on your IBond interest. Also, if you're holding for long term, many years, you only need to pay taxes when you withdraw your money. You don't actually pay taxes on a yearly basis like you would if you were getting paid interest on a monthly basis within a savings account. Now, you can opt out of that too, but I don't see why you would. That being said, I still think that keeping my money liquid somewhere else is a better option. But that is just me in particular. I mean, last year, IBonds were offering 9.62% returns on your money for guaranteed 6 months, and then 6.89% for another 6 months. Hard not to take advantage of that, especially if you have cash elsewhere that maybe you need to access that. As long as you're not gonna touch it for 1 year, you're good. I do wanna make one more note on the IBonds and that term of 1 year. If you only hold for 1 year to 5 years, or anything less than 5 years, you're gonna pay a penalty, which is 3 months interest if you pull your money out. Now, after 5 years, you're not gonna pay any penalty, so keep that in mind. But I think a lot of people got money in IBonds last year when they saw those high rates. I mean, probably once the 7.12% came out about 18 months ago. So the question is now the time to take our money out? What am I doing? Let's take a quick little look at a spreadsheet I made just to give you a better idea, because that is a question that I needed to answer for my family. Okay, so if you're wondering what we're looking at here, basically I've taken an initial investment of $1,000, and remember, you can do up to $10,000, and then you can do an additional $5,000 in paper when you do your taxes, so up to $15,000 a year. But for this example, $1,000. If we had put $1,000 in IBonds back anytime between May 2022 and October 2022, we would have been guaranteed a 9.62% interest for the following 6 months, which would have netted us $48. Our total at the end would have been $1,048. And IBonds compound interest semi-annually, so then that would be earning the next interest rate of 6.89%, which ran from November to April, and you would have earned an additional $36. So your total at the end of 1 year would be $1,084. So as I said, you do earn interest monthly, but it's not compounded until the end of the 6 months. At small dollar amounts like this, it's not that important, but if you've been putting money in IBonds for the past 20 years, then that would add up. Currently, any money you put in from May 2023 through October 2023, you're gonna be 6 months at 4.3% interest. Remember, this is the fixed rate plus the inflation rate. So even though this is low, 4.3%, 0.9% of this number is a fixed rate, which is actually pretty solid when you consider it's going to allow you to surpass inflation by that amount. You would only earn $23 for a total of $1,107. Now, why is this important? Well, if you had pulled out your money after 12 months, you would essentially be forfeiting 3 months interest of this 6.89%. You would have averaged $16 every 3 months when it comes to your interest. So you would have made a total of $66 for that 1 year, or a 6.6% interest rate return. If you held longer, which is what I recommend you to do, you would actually end up averaging $19 a quarter because you're forfeiting 3 months of this 4.3% interest. This is lower than SPAXX currently offers. This is lower than a lot of CDs. So you don't want to take advantage of this if you're trying to get your money out. I would say forfeit 3 months of the new interest rate so you lock in the maximum amount of time at these 2 rates. That's why you would do this. So for me, that's exactly what I'm doing. Wait 15 months and then pull out the money. Okay, so that may have been a little bit confusing, and hopefully if that's the case, then maybe this will help. Basically, with IBonds, you've just got to remember the interest rate is going to change every 6 months. Right now, we know what it is, but we can't predict the future. If you think interest is going to skyrocket, then IBonds would be a good option for your money. Whatever the interest is when you buy in or purchase the bonds, that interest is going to be locked in for 6 months, and then during that time period, whenever the rate changes, which is in May and November of every year, you're going to know what you're going to get for that next 6 months. And then just remember, 3 months are forfeited if you're only holding for between 1 year and 5 years. Anything after 5 years, you're good to go. There's no penalty for pulling your money out. If anything, you get the benefit of the taxes. So as I mentioned, personally, I only put my money in when it was offering that 9.62% return. I wish that I put it in when it was at 7.12 because I still would have been happy with that as well. But, you live and you learn. Now I'm going to be looking more often, probably only when inflation goes up, but I'm going to be, keeping track of this in the future because you never know. It might be a good opportunity to buy. But at the end of the day, is an IBond a good investment? 100% without a doubt, yes, because it is a safe way to hold your money and always beat inflation. But that does not mean that it is the best investment on this current day. Now, if you're still watching the video, I want to know from you guys, what are you doing with your IBonds right now? Are you selling out? Are you buying more? Let me know. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. This topic can be pretty confusing, and there's a lot of information when it comes to IBonds that you kind of have to think about. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will hopefully see you in a week, actually 2 weeks. If you haven't noticed, I've been pretty inconsistent with my posting schedule, and that's just because in addition to having my 3 baby girls, my work has been insanely busy. I have an executive tour coming up next week that has just been taking up a lot of my time, and next week I actually won't be in my office. I'll be out in the field meeting with people. So, you know, senior leadership is gonna come, and then we're gonna go visit a bunch of people we do business with. So with that said, take care.